Hosted by Tony Gapperstone. Thanks for tuning in. It's showtime.
It's showtime, everybody. Episode 263 of the Brave Maker podcast. My name is Tony Gapperstone. My pronouns are he, him, his, and I'm a Caucasian guy wearing black glasses, brown, wet hair, just got out of the shower. I am wearing my Drew Barrymore Scream 1 shirt. I wear this almost every October. Many times in my studio with green faux wall in the back, pink Brave Maker, and black and white striped wall to my right. That's my inclusive description because Brave Maker is all about creating community for justice, diversity, and inclusion. We really believe that we can affect positive change through storytelling, and we can have a little fun while we're doing it. I'm a filmmaker, writer, director, and actor. I am located in the San Francisco Bay Area, and Brave Maker is going on its 7th year. And for 263 episodes, I get to talk to people who are making stuff, taking bold moves, making brave stories. I do this really for myself. I love learning. I love connecting with people, but also want to offer this to you all out who are watching live or on the replay or listening on our podcast app. Free stuff. This is your film school. So learn, listen, and go make. You know, it's really easy to dream about it, to talk about it, and not to do anything about it. And for 263 episodes, we've been encouraging people to go out and do it. So if you're watching or listening live, please make sure you're following us on all the places at BraveMaker.org. We're on the TikTok, we're on the YouTube, we're still on Facebook, we're on X, we're everywhere. Follow us, tweet, X at us, whatever it's called now. And we are pretty responsive because we know that social media can be really good and positive. And this business of entertainment and creativity is all about talent, yes, but it's about those relationships, building it. And you can build them on the social media, on the internet. That's what we're doing here. So today, my guest is kind of an alum to Brave Maker because we had RJ Daniel Hanna in person in 2019 with one of his, I think it might have been his first feature film, Miss Virginia, that starred Uzo Aduba and Niles Fitch. He had another film called Hard Miles, so I have Miles and Niles in my brain. But let me welcome, with no further ado, Daniel Hanna. Hi, Daniel.
Hey, thanks for having me on again.
Yeah, dude, I'm excited to get into your twisted brain on this new film that you just made that I watched last night. So let's first have you do your introduction, pronouns, physical description, inclusive. If you want to do anything like that, go for it.
Sure. RJ Daniel Hanna. I go by Daniel. I'm definitely a white guy. My parents are Irish, from Ireland. And I'm here in my little home office. Not much to look at. I've got a little plant. I got a big old marker board where I do a bunch of work. And it's even smaller than it looks in person.
So, yeah, I was looking back at some photos yesterday and thought, oh, so cool. Niles, who at that time was starring on This Is Us was one of the stars of your film, Miss Virginia, which is a true story. And it was really cool. We had, I believe it was December of 2019. So it was like right before the pandemic. And it was a really cool experience. And it's been kind of fun to watch your journey over the past now 5 years. So congrats on like so many things, dude. You are a Nicholl winner fellow. This is your third feature film, Succubus.
Yep.
Succubus. Such a fun thing to say. We're going to talk about succubus, which I kind of feel funny and silly and also a little evil, like succubus. And I'd never heard that term before until this movie. So when you Google SUCCUBUS, you'll see that this is actually a term that is in culture. That wasn't just like the name of the movie that you created. It actually has some significance that I had no clue about. So let's jump in, man. You've been in LA, you're born in Toronto, raised in the somewhere, I forget, like Appalachian Mountains.
Arkansas. Yeah,
Arkansas.
Yeah.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
And then moved to LA and you're living the dream. So congrats on, this is your third feature, right?
Correct. Yes.
Dude, that's so cool. All right, so let's back up. So 2019, Miss Virginia comes out. Then talk us through, get to there, getting your second feature film, how you're sustaining this filmmaker life, the Nicholl, all that kind of stuff.
Sure. I mean, we'll definitely get to the sustaining issue because that's really the tough one. But when 2019 came about, I had a horror script that I'm now actually working with some people on getting it made. Just now about to turn into some rewrites, but I had a horror film that was set on Skid Row that I'd written. And I think we might have even talked about that.
Yep.
And I really felt like, okay, I've got my first movie out. It kind of shows I could do a lot with a limited budget. We've got great performances in that movie. Uzo, Niles, Matthew, everybody just was incredible. And I really felt like, okay, now I can pivot it into this other movie I really want to make, even though it's a different genre. It's horror as opposed to a true life inspirational drama. And, I won some awards with it and things like that. I was pitching people at Sundance, I won an award for Slam Dance, tried to go to parties at Sundance, get in. And I think we actually might have hung out that year I was there.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
That's a great reminder. We're going to Sundance again, y'all. So if you're listening, we got 2 Airbnbs and I have some beds left, but keep going, Daniel.
Okay. But then, what happened was I had never directed a horror film. Well, really what happened was the pandemic hit, and then no one was doing anything. And I was still trying to meet people. I'd never directed a horror film. Everyone was kind of saying, no one's going to let you try and make this $5 million or $10 million horror film, without having made something smaller in that field before. And so basically what happened was I just, during the pandemic, just wrote. And my friend, Christian Sander, who I edited his first feature, and we've been friends and tried to work together ever since. He had found this other story called Hard Mile. Well, it wasn't called Hard Miles at the time. It was a story that would become Hard Miles about Greg Townsend. And Greg was a true, a very inspiring true life person, similar to Virginia, in that he was really trying to help students who were being neglected via education get better opportunities. In this case, it was students who were not exactly incarcerated, but they were in essentially a juvie alternative school. Instead of being sent to juvie, they got sent to the school, which was supposed to try and help them learn better skills and learn better coping mechanisms and get kind of real life education like welding, things like that. They have a big, some of the schools, there's several of them all over the country, they have different programs that they highlight to try and help these students get careers essentially. And Greg, what he would do, they have an emphasis on sports there, like sports, teamwork, using sports and athleticism to try and build character. And what he would do is he would take these boys, amongst other programs he did, take these boys on these cross-country cycling trips. And so what we did was we took a lot of the real life things that he'd done and kind of worked them into a story that was about, the first time he takes these kids on these rides. Which is a 762-mile trip from Denver to the Grand Canyon. And so he's basically getting these boys who have they've never ridden a bike, but they've never ridden street bikes. They've never done long distance, riding, anything like that. they'd actually weld their own bikes in the class, and we used the welded bikes that were welded by Greg and his students in the film. They'd weld the frames, and then they'd get donated the gears, the wheels, everything like that, and then they'd go off on this ride and they'd camp. They had a van that would carry their camping gear, and they'd ride, camp at night, ride again, camp at night. And we just thought it was an amazing story, and there were so many cool and interesting things that were true that had happened along the way that we wanted to incorporate into it. And that movie came about where really Christian and his dad, Scott, the executive producer, are just excellent partners and excellent at finding people that are interested in doing cool stories, inspiring stories. And they were able to raise the money. A very low budget film. It would have been about half the budget of Miss Virginia. I won't get into the specific budgets, but it's low. And we just managed to go off and do it. Yeah.
So wait, this film was less than Miss Virginia, you're saying? Hard Miles?
Mm-hmm.
Dang. With all of the kind of travel and biking, and I feel like you probably had to have a lot of stunts and extra, crew to make that possible compared to Miss Virginia, which felt like more of like a contained story, lots of, classrooms, school, talking. That really is surprising to me, which I think is a sign of the industry and the times, right? It's like do more, do bigger with less. Is that what you kind of have seen or experienced in this transition?
Yeah, most definitely. And I mean, on one hand, Hard Miles is bigger in the sense that we went all across. We were shooting in all across these great places. We shot at the Grand Canyon, Arizona. We shot high up in the mountains, thousands of feet up, and all this stuff. But all of those locations, amazing locations, are essentially free if you can get there. You have to plan really well, and you have to have an infrastructure. We had to have a special piece of equipment called a Grip Trix, which is like a battery operated electric ATV that has a crane on it. So that's how we shot all the bike stuff, and while being able to record sound. We actually recorded the sound on set, and that was a real hurdle for our sound team, certainly, but they were amazing. But when you think about it compared to Miss Virginia, Hard Miles is like 6 people on the road predominantly, with maybe one crowd scene. And on Miss Virginia, we had to shoot at the Capitol in DC. We had 200 extras. We had to shoot these giant locations at times that were, meant to represent Congress and things like that. So while at its core, Miss Virginia is really the story of like a mother and son, it had these really big elements. And Hard Miles was like this little unit that just went through all of these different places and kind of captured the natural, majestic beauty that was there along the way. So I'm extremely proud of the film and its scope. But it was definitely, that was like some real challenges and some real planning that went into doing that. But in a weird way, we were able to make it for less. Yeah.
That's great. Well, congrats on that. And if you're listening or watching, Hard Miles is available on VOD. So Google it, find it on your platform of choice. Watch independent movies, watch and listen to how you can do something as grandiose as that with not a lot of money. That's huge. So let's talk about Succubus. So we titled this podcast episode 263, making a horror film about dating. That's before I watched it, just looking at what I thought it could be about, like a brief statement about if you watch the trailer, which we should watch the trailer, there was an assumption that I made about what the film was going to be. Then I was like, oh my gosh, it was so fun, so twisty, very twisted brain, Daniel, that you have going on there. It's very rated R, a lot of nudity, a lot. It's almost kind of like this amalgamation of, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the interpretation I had was like, okay, there's a little bit of like Nightmare on Elm Street, a little bit of body horror kind of stuff. There's a little bit of like that. What do you call it? The digital where everything's on a screen, like searching or missing. Like I just loved you combined all these different genres of stuff, erotic, thriller, horror. It was really an interesting kind of amalgamation of stuff. So talk to us about how this idea came for Succubus.
Yeah, so I mean, I will say you're spot on those references, and where it came from was many years ago. I'd gone on a very long term relationship, and I'd never been on a dating app or anything like that, in the past. And when I was on these apps for the first time, I think it was only Tinder back then. It was like you're trying to meet someone, you'd encounter, you'd realize, oh wait, I'm not talking to a person, I'm talking to a bot. I'm talking to someone who's just trying to fish my information, or maybe it's somebody who's using the app only for a nefarious purpose like that, to try and you know hack into your, steal your identity or something like that. And it was such a strange, like, nefarious kind of thing, and you kind of realize, I don't really know who I'm talking to. And at times, maybe you think you gelled with someone, and then you'd meet them, and you'd be like, oh, this person is very different than I expected. Maybe just even in, like, not even how they look, but in their demeanor or how they talk, or you kind of think, oh, this person is strange, or to me is strange, and I'm not really sure how I feel about them. And so you'd have these strange experiences like that, and it just kind of put a little kernel in my brain. And it was around the same time when it's like Get Out came out, The Babadook came out, and It Follows came out, all within maybe 2 years of each other. And those three movies really showed what horror could do. And that's our lead, Brendan Bradley, up there on the screen showing the DVD. But yeah, it kind of showed what horror could do, and that it could really dive into some issues, dive into something interesting and deep. And I thought, that's really cool. There's something here. And it just kind of sat dormant in my brain for years. And then when COVID came, I thought, oh, maybe I could turn this into a short. And I started, a short that is in screen, or it has in screen elements. And I think those movies are fascinating because they show thought process. You get to see what people are thinking in how they type, when people type something and delete it, or they kind of go somewhere, click a window, they minimize it, and think, no, like, you're really seeing their thought process play out through action. Which I think is fascinating. I went to a pre-screening of the first Unfriended movie, that many years ago, and that was the first time I'd ever seen anything like that. And I don't remember the movie that much because it was so long ago. I think these movies are quite good, honestly. I think they do a really great job. But I just remember thinking, oh wow, you're seeing people's thoughts play out in real time. And so that was something that I always liked. And I started writing this thing I thought would be a short. And then really soon I was like 30 pages in, thinking, okay, this is not a short. This is going to go somewhere else. And from there, it really was, I don't even know if I had a real idea of what I wanted to do with it or where it would go. I was kind of exploring and letting it go where it wanted to as I was writing it. So it was a very fun and different experience for me too, as a writer, that I don't know, hopefully I'd be able to recreate that if I had to do it again.
If you like horror, you like some twisted things on screen, you can handle some interesting, I'll say, I mean, yeah, there's some blood and there's some gore in this for sure. It's not there's not a lot, but there's some very, like, wow, I'm not gonna spoil anything, but I was like, a couple times I was like, I was not expecting that to happen. Like, and maybe I haven't seen that even on screen, some of those things. I really am a late bloomer to horror. I started really getting into it probably about, I don't know, 6 years ago, and started kind of consuming. Before, it was kind of very much horror light for me. I still love Scream. I still feel like Scream and the camp, the horror comedy is really fun, and I love the murder mystery element. But I started getting into things like, I love The Babadook. I love It Follows. I just watched Longlegs a couple weeks ago, and I really think horror does a really good job, when it's done right, of asking really good questions about evil, about good and justice. And that's really where I thought, ooh, I want to make a horror film someday too, because I think you can ask a lot of good questions. Before we show the trailer, what questions do you think you were exploring while making this film?
Yeah, so I feel like I had finally crystallized it for myself. I was just at a film festival at Grimfest in Manchester, where we had a great screening of the movie. But for me, I wanted to write something unusual to horror. It's from a male perspective. Most horror is from a female perspective, or like the victim, or like the the person who's being attacked. And what I kind of wanted to do was, I kind of realized that there are, even though in the past the majority of movies have been primarily from a male perspective. Like that's been what Hollywood has done, right? They've done male perspective movies. But I was kind of realizing the difference between what would you call a quote unquote women's movie, usually deals with something real, like something real in a woman's life, like some issue that women actually do want to talk about and do want to address, or something that's important to them. And most male movies are really about like kind of a superhero guy. Even if he's a regular guy, he's like John McClane from Die Hard. He's not a regular guy. And so that was something I found very interesting. And so what I wanted to do was tell a movie from the perspective of a regular guy, like a truly regular guy, right? And deal with some of the issues that I know have come up for men in recent years. Like he's very isolated, he's very lonely, he's not like, he's not someone who's like rejecting life or rejecting love or anything like that. He just sort of has found himself kind of alone and stuck in, like a cycle of being online, not interacting with people, not getting out there, being estranged from his wife, they're getting separated. And I wanted to deal with like, what is this online life for guys like, in a really, really horrifying kind of deep in your subtext of your brain kind of way. And so that was something that really interested me. And I didn't approach it like I really want to say this, I have this message I want to get across. I just wanted to explore the issue and kind of see what came out from doing that.
Yeah, that's cool. I always like wondering about the questions, even as I'm writing my own films. Like, what am I asking? What am I wondering? And I don't always like the question, what's the message, or what do you want people to take away? So I like saying, what's the question? And I was thinking for myself, like, what is my relationship with technology, with screens, while I'm watching a film and I'm always on my phone, like that whole second screen thing. And it's very convicting, it's very humbling to recognize that, yeah, I'm married, I'm not on the apps. Marriage is hard, by the way, and challenging no matter what. But when you add all these other temptations and possibilities and secrets, it can really suck you in, SUCCUBUS. So let's watch the trailer. If you're listening to us on the app, you'll just be hearing it. But if you're watching us on our YouTube page, or it's on LinkedIn now and Facebook, you'll be able to see it. But you can also Google it and learn more about it before you watch it. So this is the trailer for SUCCUBUS, now available on Apple and Amazon and all the places.
Hey, Mom.
Oh, hi. Hi. I just was calling to make sure that you have a cover for the weekend. I could drive up and help.
No, I got it. We're fine. I don't know, man. You and Sharon are separated. You're not doing anything wrong.
Let's talk when I'm thinking straight, okay?
All right, I love you. Chicks dig confidence. Fun, strong. We gotta hit that window where we can pretend you're at least one of those things. Hey.
Hey, Chris. You need to relax. I'll make you feel better.
Wow.
You're a good person. You deserve it. You want to kiss me?
What?
Come closer. Trust me.
Chris, did you make an online contact in the last few hours?
Come see me.
Was it a sexual nature?
Whoa, dude. I don't know you.
Christopher, I just need for you to see this woman is very, very dangerous.
Would you like to see my room? Take my hand. Are you nervous?
Hey, what is this?
I told you not to keep talking with her.
What is happening?
We're going to turn a lock, you and I. You're my key.
Hello?
Hey, babe. Oh my God.
You can make me home.
She's getting stronger.
Stop!
If you knew what I knew,
Oh my God.
you take that gun and you shoot right now.
Woo! All right. So again, I watched that last night, like 10:30 at night. It was great. I was, chilled in I have a little basement studio, and yeah, like I said, there was some great jump scare moments that I really enjoyed. There was some surprises. There was some like, oh my gosh, what is going on? Ugh. So kudos for all of the twist and turn. I know we only have a few more minutes, but let's talk about some of the challenging stuff. I always like watching the credits. It seemed like it was a small crew as well. There's some nudity in this, and obviously some sexuality. Did you have an intimacy coordinator? There's blood in there. There's some self-harm going in there. How did you handle all that stuff on set as you worked with the actors?
So I was it was a very small crew, and I was fortunate to be good friends with Brendan Bradley, who's the lead, and I worked with him.
By the way, I have been following him since the strike. I really like what he does and what he puts out there. So kudos to Brendan out there. That's great.
Yeah, he's a very dedicated and motivated person, and has a good heart and good head on his shoulders, too. And for us, because Brendan and I were able to work through it a lot before, we were in Montana, shooting Montana, and it was a very small crew. We just there wasn't an intimacy coordinator out there that we could locate, and we talked about trying to do something remotely, but that seemed like that would not really work. And so what it really came down to was the actors were so professional, and we just like had very, very open conversations. And honestly, Brendan guided me through it. Like, here's how we should approach how to do this in a way that's going to be like okay for everyone, because I'd never done scenes like this before. And so it was a very, very kind of like, people say, it's so true when people say that like a sex scene feels like so unintimate and sexy in person, or like when you're filming it, because it was very much like this very coordinated, here we'll go like this and go like that kind of thing, that the actors kind of work through themselves, with every sort of movement and every moment sort of being like, and then without actually touching at that point, like, and then maybe it could be like this and like that, and that could get us to here, and they're talking through and agreeing, or saying, oh, maybe not that, maybe this, and just like very, very like carefully, very careful in its progression, and allowing the actors to the point where, Brendan, at a certain point, there's a scene at the end where Adria really is like aggressively like dominating him, right? Not even in just like a sexual way, like literally in like a demonic way, but it's all kind of wrapped up in the same thing. And at this one point, Brendan said, he's like, look, I kind of, if she's supposed to throw me down, I need her like to actually like throw me down, you know what I mean? Like that's what I want. Like, she shouldn't worry about being too hard, or that's what I need, right? For this to work. And and then telling her, like, if you're down, like, you don't have to be too careful. Like, he wants you, it says throw him down, like that's what he wants, and everyone was kind of great about that. And it's kind of, for everyone, it's kind of, it's play, it's finding, like, you want the thing to be good and be cool. What's funny too is like a lot of the, in terms of like dealing with like nudity and stuff like that, everything was done in a way where everything's as closed as possible, and everything is as minimal as possible for like the amount of time that is involved to get like the one specific shot. And then you have like the robes and everything ready to go. And so like you're kind of rehearsing in these like big fluffy robes, and then like right before the moment comes and the robe goes off and you shoot, and then like
drop that robe, Brendan.
Yeah.
Drop that robe. Yeah, it was kind of, that's where I felt like the Nightmare on Elm Street a little bit. Some of those scenes, I was like, oh, interesting. I did not think it was going to go there. Okay, this is another world you're creating here. The contained element of the house, like a lot of horror films are like, find a house or a cabin or a secluded thing, but you were able to kind of elevate it out of that. So that was really cool. So kudos to you on that. Kudos to the whole cast. Ron Perlman, Rosanna Arquette, like played the mom of the main character, Chris, and then Rachel Lee Cook. So you had a lot of
just Rachel Cook. Yeah.
Sorry.
Rachel Cook. Yeah.
Wait, is that different? Rachel Cook and Rachel Lee Cook? Is that
yeah.
She doesn't go by Lee anymore?
Well, Rachel Lee Cook is an actress.
Different actress.
Different actress. Yes. Yeah.
Okay,
And then,
cool. So just Rachel Cook. I was swearing. I'm like, that does not look like the same person I remember.
Right.
Okay, that makes sense. I should have looked that up. That's funny. Ron Perlman. I love how it opened up the first minute or two. You're like, oh, what is this going to be? So yeah, I liked it. Horror fans, check out Succubus. And let's close with what in the world? Why did you title it Succubus? And making me say succubus so much is so fun.
Yeah, I mean, it was something where I was looking all over for historical, or mythological, like, demons who could fit the role of this movie. And what's funny is, for whatever reason, I missed Succubus off the top, and I was going down all these different rabbit holes of like very obscure kind of demonic stories from around the world that I could at least get inspiration from or something like that. And then it was just like, oh, a succubus. A succubus is like a female incubus, or they're two sides of the same coin, I guess. And what they do is their kind of goal is to basically create a demonic baby, kind of a Rosemary's Baby situation. And so the incubus seduces the woman and the succubus seduces the man, in the sense of trying to like get the two pieces they need to create their sort of demon baby from hell. That's like the mythology, maybe 14th century stuff like that. It's not like I mean, it would be in like Christian cultures, even though it's not something that's in the Bible or anything like that. It was sort of honestly probably an explanation for infidelity, or things like that, of like, oh, well, I didn't do this, I must have been possessed, or you know what I mean, that kind of thing. And so that was where that came from. And then just the word, it does literally seem like, yeah, like she's trying to suck him into the screen. She's trying to just suck his life force, all these things. It was one of those words where just the word felt like the movie, and for people who know what a succubus is, maybe it's a little bit of a spoiler, but for me, it wasn't that well known of a term. Mm-hmm. And so I kind of just felt like that feels like the movie, that should be the title.
Well, I've been on this planet almost 50 years, and it was totally new to me. And it was really fun to kind of have a little bit of that lore. And I come from a religious Christian background too, so that was really fun. And I was like, oh man, this is great. Which just is a great reminder as we close. I know you got to go. That the storytelling realm, the possibilities are endless. There's so many things and so many new stories to tell. You can have fun and get twisted. And especially in October, spooky season, people love that stuff. So congrats, Daniel. Really appreciate you coming back on the show. And I was thinking before you go, I was like, I know I have a picture somewhere. I think, yes, here we go. You're on our page with Niles from 2019. So if you're watching this live, you've been on our giving page since 2019 as a little collage there. Super fun from the Miss Virginia screening in Redwood City, California. So thanks for being a part of Brave Maker in this way for the past 5 years, and looking forward to what you do next. And maybe I'll see you at Sundance. Are you going this year?
Maybe I could swing it. I mean, yeah, we never got to the sustainability issue of filmmaking, so that will be the thing, because it is hard. It's very hard. But
I did hear you say recently in a post or something, I think. Did you say this? Did you say if you want to be in the filmmaking industry, get an adjacent job or something like that? Yeah, about editing. That was on Film Courage. Yes, Film Courage. Okay, good.
A little while ago. Yeah,
and end with that. Just give your last 30 seconds. What do you want to say to all the people out there who want to have a career in the film industry? What would you say?
So I used to work as an editor, and for me, it was like being an editor, being around people that are making film, learning the craft. That was a really good way to make money while still kind of honing my craft without like trying to put everything always into directing, because trying to make a living as a director or writer is so challenging. And often, you don't really make money as a director until you're making like movies with huge budgets. And so that was kind of the thing, is try and find a way to make it's a war of attrition. Like you have to try, you have to be here, not in LA, but you have to be working in the industry. You have to be working and always honing your craft for years and years. So find a job that is sustainable for you, that makes it where you're not like, I can only do this for one more year because I hate it so much, whatever. Find something that feeds you a little bit, but allows you to pay your bills. And that way you can keep working, keep refining, keep honing your skills. And you're not putting a timeline on yourself, like putting a clock on yourself for how long you can stick it out. Because you probably have to stick it out for years and years and years, more than you ever expected. As you mentioned, it was 5 years ago that, my first feature came out. So it was even longer ago we were shooting it. So it's a long journey.
Long journey, decades even. So yeah, thank you so much, Daniel, for coming on the show. I appreciate it. We'll definitely stay in touch and look forward to what's next. And thank you everybody else for watching and listening. And I forgot, because we didn't have enough time. We usually do our Brave Faves, which is your favorite thing of the week. And I'm watching so many things right now. So I'll just fave. Go watch English Teacher on Hulu. I'm loving it. It's super fun. It's creative. It's snappy. It's like a masterclass for me on writing. I would really, be stoked to be a part of a show like that. That's inspiring. So go watch English Teacher. And thank you to our producer, Amy Cohen, who has been live quoting this for us. Thank you also to our producer, Alessia, who does all of our promotional stuff and communicates with our guests, and our podcast editor, Barnell Amos. I really appreciate all these team members who help us to do the show every single week. 263 episodes. Our annual Halloween party, Brave Maker, is happening on October 26th. Get your best costume out, and there's prizes, there's open bar, there's a DJ. That's all at our website at bravemaker.com. And like I said earlier in the show, we're going to Sundance. We're going to go for the first half. If you want to come with us, we still have some beds. We have one private room left, a couple bunk beds, and one couch left. DM me if you'd like to be a part of that. I've been going for, it's my 13th, 14th year. Life changing. All right, everybody. That's all I got today. Please make sure you are following us and spreading the word about Brave Maker. We are a nonprofit, so all of your support on the socials helps, but even better, 52 people are donors, meaning they give $5, $10, $25 a month to help us keep doing this work, to make our movies, to do our film festival, to have our monthly film screenings. bravemaker.com/donate, or text the word boop, 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 Brave Maker to 44321. That's 44321. Use your phone and text the word Brave Maker, and you'll get a link right to your phone. All right, that's all I got. Next week, I have a really cool editor that I met in Sundance coming to the show. His name is John Higgins. He's working on a new series with Michelle Williams, and he's done a bunch of other cool stuff. A new movie coming out very, very soon that you will be hearing about on the show next week. And I met him at Sundance, and he had a film at Sundance. So come on, 264 episodes next week, same time, Thursday, 10 a.m. Pacific time. All right, that's all I got. My music just cut out, so that means I got to go. Bye, everybody.
Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook at bravemaker.org. Like, subscribe, and share. To become a monthly donor, text the word Brave Maker to 44321 or go to bravemaker.com/donate. Thanks for tuning in.